dialed. Yeah, buddy. Oh. Oh, Monster Man. Nice. We got another one. Go, buddy, go, buddy, go, buddy. Hardtailing. Whoa.
Pedal. Pedal between there and there. Oh, fuck that.
Oh,
I hit it too hard.
Yeah, I worked on this. It's creaking. God damn it. Short at a time. Oh, fuck the fuck. Vamos. Fuck. And new bike day. I just picked up a 2017 Diamondback Atroz Comp, full suspension trail bike with 120 suspension up front and I think 100 on the rear shock, although some websites say 120, so I'm not sure what it actually is. Bike's a little small for me. It's a 43-inch wheelbase. It's not too bad because the seat tube angle is only 72.5. I'm just running the seat high up right now. The previous owner put a commuter seat on it and didn't have the original seat, so I need to get a new seat for trail riding and going downhill. Head tube angle is 66.5, so pretty aggressive head tube angle and good for what I intend to use it for. It has a even lower standover height than normal, which I kind of prefer because of the way I ride and how I'm riding, and the fact that I come from BMX. When I asked the internet about sizing down on a mountain bike, they were all saying it's a bad idea, it's not a good fit, and that totally makes sense for those long distance rides, but I typically don't do too many long distance rides, especially once I get riding this bike. It'll be more going to the downhill track, going to the local trails, finding jumps and stuff. I'll try to go over some of the things I like and do not like about the bike. The first is the frame. The Diamondback frame has a pretty simple and old school suspension design. Just a single pivot, big chunky C-stay, change stay combination here. For one, generally considered heavy, although this bike seems pretty decent for a full suspension at about 32 pounds. Another thing, which is why I prefer horse link suspension, if I could have got, the dream bike I wanted, but with this design, obviously, you have no room for a bottle cage or a frame bag or anything. With a nice big horse link design frame, yeah, you could do at least one large water bottle, if not a small frame bag as well, depending on the design. But I do like, I don't know, it's interesting looking how close the tubes are and how far the chainstay is away from the chain. Obviously, people will say that'll reduce chain slap and whatnot, so that's a positive thing. And then the last downfall of the suspension is the fact that it's considered not very adjustable, both on the design end and on the user end, just being one single pivot with a fixed center going up and down. But we'll see. This is my first full suspension, so I'm definitely not complaining. I've already had fun going up and down the street and getting used to... I do need a shock pump right now. The rear shock simply does not have air in it. It's super squishy. The front fork is not too bad right now. But yeah, I don't actually have a shock pump, so I need to buy one or go to a bike shop and just get some air in there. So, the fact that it is one size too small, what I plan to do about that is, aside from just outright riding it for now, I'm going to buy a long cross-country stem with an adjustable hinge or pivot on the stem. So, it'll probably be about 100 millimeters. So, literally double the length of this stock one, I think. And then it'll have the adjustable hinge or pivot there, so I can either just run it with like a 10-degree rise, which this stem has, or I can literally go all the way up to 60-degree rise at the max. And that'll get the stack and reach geometry arguably close to where my natural size would be. Of course, that's not an actual fix for the situation, because my whole setup, my wheel and steer tube is still in the same area. So all it'll do is really save my knees a little bit, and that'll be more for like longer rides, cross-country rides, and that's a cheap upgrade, basically 15-20 bucks. Long-term goals are to outright replace the frame with a 17, 18, or 19 frame, because this frame is a 16-inch, so one size too small for me. So I'm okay with that for now, for just jumping and kind of having fun, but I don't necessarily plan to ride really big jumps, really hard, difficult, chunky terrain on a bike that's too small for me. I don't think it'll feel stable for anything like that. Another interesting thing, all the listings I see online say that the fork is coil. I don't know why. In almost every photo, it seems like it has an air valve and the standard blue compression switch that air forks have. This is an air fork. It has an air valve, and it has this blue compressible, and then it has a little rebound lever switch down here. I don't know why all the websites say it's coil, if that was an original mistake on Diamondback's part for pushing that information out, or if it actually is, and this was an upgrade by the original owner. But I'm not sure. I am glad that I have air front and rear now, because being new to the suspension game, I'm really keen to learn how to set everything, my sag, my compression, rebound, depending on the type of riding I do. Right now, I'm trying to run everything as firm as possible, because I'm either just riding on the street somewhere or going to jumps right now. So I really don't want it to be bobbing everywhere. I need it as rigid as possible so it's very predictable. Pedals, grips, and tires. We already mentioned the seat. I need to replace that. The stock pedals on here aren't too bad, considering how much the bike is and what you're paying to get. Just standard metal aluminum pedals with just the just pins molded pins, not threaded. So we're going to replace this with the knockoff Chesters from Amazon, so we can get some threaded pins and be able to adjust how long the pins are. Tires I'm not sure about yet. I was actually going to check if these are... No, these are not tubeless ready. That's unfortunate for the price point, but I'll probably get the tubeless Continentals, because I like to have... I don't mind having a sort of mountain trail tire in the front. I like to have a fast roller in the back. Sort of a mix between like a cross country and a standard trail tire. And Continental has some good treads for both those things at really good prices that are tubeless ready. So that'll be ideal. The grips are surprising me, actually. Stock grips, no lock on, even though a lot of the websites just said lock on for some reason. Basically a knockoff of ODI Ruffian, which is just a classic motorcycle pattern grip. These are good. Bar ends, considering how I ride, I might want to replace those. They're bad, cheap, and I don't want them to get stuck in there and have to deal with that situation. But these grips, I mean, I might keep them on. The only thing I don't like is the Diamondback logo being raised so high. But yeah, even barehanded, they feel pretty good. And then with gloves on, I mean, I think these are going to be great. Those are going to perform well, even for jumping. 1x11 SRAM group set, NX, sort of the standard for this price point, and that's probably my favorite part of the bike now, coming from my hardtail, which had the 3x8, and I didn't like it, and I'm having so much fun riding the 1x11 so far. Can't wait to see how it does on the trail. We'll see how it does on technical climbs. Obviously fine for fire roads, but 30 to 42? I didn't write it down. I think 30 to 42 will be a little rough on some of the technical climbs, but that's fine, just work harder. And then dropper post. I will not put a dropper post on this bike because there is no internal routing, and being with this small frame, like, it just doesn't look particularly good for routing a dropper post. Also, coming from BMX and riding brakeless bikes and whatnot, I'm so happy that I have 1x11 now, and I really don't want any more stuff in my cockpit. I got 3 things in the cockpit. It's great. 3 cables, that's enough. So what I want to do is get the simple dropper post, which is actually just a lever actuation under, just right here on the post, right under your seat. And so it's not even, I don't think it's even hydraulic. I'm not sure how it functions, but you literally just grab the front of your seat and hit the lever, and it, releases the post so it go up and down, and you can just simply slam it down or lift it up with that lever. Obviously not as convenient, but also they're cheap. It doesn't put anything into my cockpit, and apparently the one I was looking at is pretty reliable, and if I buy a really cheap hydraulic dropper, there's no guarantee how reliable that'll even be. So that's the plans for the bike. I'm hoping to ride tomorrow, maybe, but literally right as I bought this bike, I came home and it started pissing down rain for, really long for LA, like 6 hours, maybe more. The whole day, just ruined the whole day of riding for me. So maybe tomorrow, we'll see. At some point in this week, we're definitely getting this thing out and probably giving it a proper test at the Malaga jumps. And since it just rained, the jumps might be destroyed, so we might actually just go there and try to rebuild whatever's left over there. So that's 2017 Diamondback Atroz Comp. We'll see how good it is on the next ride, and if I keep it or not, or what I plan to do with it. But let me know if you have any questions, and we'll see how this entry-level mountain bike holds up.